And a lot of marriage can turn into that. It's like, my husband's not really treating me the way that I think he should be treating. It's going to ruin your day. My husband didn't say good morning to me this morning. It ruins your day. We didn't have, the conversations that I wanted this last week. It ruins your week, right? And now all of a sudden you're playing this game of like, my spouse didn't do X, therefore I will respond with Y. And you run into this, I don't know, pity is me game. You start keeping score in marriage. You start where the way I look at it is it's actually the opposite. And it's very hard to do the opposite. The opposite of this is that you run to God to fulfill all your needs, right? Your joy, your peace, all the fruits of the Spirit come from where? The Spirit, from God, from Jesus, right? And so now, if you actually reverse the script and all of your cup gets filled by Christ, imagine a cup, right? You're just getting filled by Christ. So every day you're waking up, you're energetic. You're waking up, you feel great. You realize that you've been saved by grace. You realize that you're on the path to heaven. You realize that God is providing and giving you all your needs. And now you're just waking up every day in this great attitude because no longer are you relying on your spouse to bring that to you. It's Jesus that is bringing that to you.
Welcome back to the Married with Muchika's podcast. We are so excited that you're here. We are Richard and Hailey Muchika. We have been married for 12 years. We have 4 kids. We homeschool. We are very beginner homesteaders. We have what do we call it? A home-based business.
Home-based business.
And we are here and we started this whole gig because we are just super, super passionate about marriage and seeing people thrive in their marriages and love marriage and
what's our
pursue
tagline?
Marriage.
Tagline?
Building a marriage you love coming home to.
Yeah, good.
And I just love that. And I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited as well.
Yeah. So how are you doing? What's going on with you in your life?
I am doing phenomenal.
Hold on.
And as you probably noticed, what?
We have to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
The bald head in the
The
room?
bald head in the room. Do you want to tell the people why you went bald, babe?
What happened?
Do you want to tell the people why you decided to go bald?
Yes, I do want to tell the people why I went bald. So It was actually very sad.
This is the only thing in the world I've ever known my husband to be self-conscious about.
I know. I don't know why. It gets
it's
me.
the
It just
one
gets
thing.
Me. It just
But
gets
go
me.
ahead. Tell them
I know,
the story.
It's just a bummer. So I'm casually walking through the living room and, out of the corner of my ear, my son goes, "Man, Dad's bald."
No. He says, "Dad, you've got a bald spot."
You got a bald spot. So I turn around. I look. The first person I look at is you, because I'm like, okay, is he just joking with me? And I'm looking at you. I'm like, babe, is there a bald spot? You're like, no. Not. And it was definitely not convincing at all. And so I don't know if it was you or if it was me. I was like, let's take a picture. Maybe you said, let's take a picture. I'm like, great idea. Let's take a picture. Well, it was a bad idea. Because we took the picture, and sure enough, dude, look, so check this out.
And it wasn't bald, but it was definitely thinning. Like you could tell the whole middle section was thinning.
Did you send me that picture? Oh, wait, here it is.
I took it with your phone.
So look, we'll have Ishmael put it on the screen, but look at this. Bald, look, it's getting worse. Bald spot.
So that was Monday night.
Yeah, so that was Monday night. And I believe the same. Did I shave it the same night?
Well, so then Tuesday morning, the kids had dentist appointments. So I was out of the house with all the kids at the dentist.
Yeah.
And we come home, and Richard's bald.
And I am totally bald.
I know he's totally bald. But it looks good on you. I love it. It looks great.
Yeah, I think I like it, actually.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. I've been trying the Rogaine thing. And if you don't know this, I've done hair transplants already.
Yes.
Because I had the massive widow's peak
3
thing
or 4
going
years
on.
ago?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years. And that worked pretty well. I was
It
pretty,
totally worked.
pretty happy for it. But sure enough, now the back of my head's going. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. I think I might just keep it bald and try to keep I don't know.
Yeah, which is so funny because like all of your uncles, both of your grandpas, your dad, all have great heads of hair. For some reason, you just got this thing that
I got
your hair
no
falls
hair.
out.
I know. I'm like, dude, what happened? I got the bad gene, I guess. So,
yeah.
Anyways, bummer, but hey, problems are meant to be solved.
Hey, and it looks good.
So we're solving problems over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, other than the lack of hair, how else has your week been?
The week has been good. I'm trying to think if there's been anything that's new or our daughter just did her ultimate cheer competition.
Yes.
Which nationals.
So cute.
Her first time ever in cheer, of course, they go to nationals. So we do the whole Vegas thing. It was pretty fun. Vegas is not very fun.
Sucks.
Vegas kind of sucks, to be honest with you. But the cheer competition was fun.
It was very cute.
So we had a good time.
And she did great.
And she did really good. Nobody made a mistake, so that was really cool.
And it was just such a good experience for her, and learning how to manage your emotions, learning how to deal with the pressure. Like, that's really good for her. So I really liked it.
Yeah, it was cool. And then her coach was literally leaving to Arkansas from there.
Literally, this family, it's a mom and dad and their 2 kids. They bought a home in Arkansas that they closed on like 2 months ago. This woman and her family stayed in California so that they could finish the cheer season with us, which is unbelievably kind.
She was committed.
I would have bounced out and been like, sorry,
She was
guys.
committed, man.
So they stayed, made payments on this house for 2 months. They weren't able to live in, and they literally drove from California to Vegas with their trailer and then left Vegas and went to Arkansas. Crazy.
Oh,
but
my.
You got to appreciate that level of commitment.
That was commitment.
Very kind.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in other news on the Homestead, our chicken coop is almost done, and it is so cute, and I'm so excited. I ordered the eggs, so we're going to be
crazy.
hatching the eggs here in a couple weeks. I'll take you guys along on Instagram if you want to watch the little baby chicks hatch. It'll be so fun.
Yeah.
But I feel like all of my homesteading dreams are coming true. And I told Rich the other day, I'm like, just to warn you, and we don't have plans to get horses for another year or so. Our kids are taking lessons, and I want to make sure they're really, really comfortable with horses before we get our own.
They're in the right zone.
Yes, but I told Rich, just a heads up, when we get a horse of our own, I will cry, because this is literally a lifelong dream of mine. And then I just...
What would you name the horse?
I don't know. As a little girl, it would have been Comet. I knew that as a little girl, but I don't know what it would be anymore. But this is a dream
Mr.
that
Comet.
I just had kind of given up on, because I never thought it would happen. And just the fact, it's just cool. I will cry.
It's just really, really
There
cool.
will be tears of joy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm very excited.
Very good. I'm excited too.
And other than that, let's get into the show. So what did we talk about last week? Last week was, does Christian marriage mean boring?
Oh, yeah. Does it mean boring?
And spoiler
and
alert.
you got to find out.
Of course it does
gotta
not.
find
I'm going to
out.
spoil it, because of course it doesn't.
Depends on how you define boring, I guess.
And what we kind of came to is that boring is a lack of intentionality, not too much Christianness.
Yeah. Christismo.
Christianity.
Christianity.
But that was kind of the bottom line of the conversation. But it was a really good one. It was a fun one. If you're going to listen to it with your AirPods in, maybe not with the kiddos, because it's a little bit more on the...
X-rated?
No, not X-rated. Of course not.
MA. TV mature.
But it's for married couples, and we're talking about married couple things. And so,
yeah, that's a good point.
And so today on the podcast, we are talking about, in reference to a carousel that we had go kind of viral on Instagram, that we're like, okay, this is clearly hitting a note with people. So we want to go in depth with this conversation.
Let's see.
And that is that you married the wrong person, and that's the point. That's kind of the hook. That's the tagline, and we're going to get into what that means.
It's been shared over 10,000 times.
Over 10,000 times. So people are
resonating with
this, and maybe don't have the language for what it is they're resonating with. And so we're going to give it some language.
Yeah,
and I'm excited about it.
100%.
So you married the wrong person, and that's the point.
So you were the wrong person.
I am always going to be the wrong person, because I'm not perfect and I'm not God, and that's the only right person, right?
Now, fun fact, I don't know if we should start it like this, but I find this fascinating. You do believe in soulmates.
I do.
Yeah. And
okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah, what's the thing? Give me the thing.
I believe in soulmates because...
Not because it's going to be easy, right?
Because it's easy for me to believe that.
Yeah.
Because I have found you, and I married you.
Yeah.
And
I'm perfect, basically. I'm the only perfect human on earth.
Stop it. No.
Yeah.
But I do feel like you are the right person for me.
Yeah.
That being said, though, the institution of marriage is God-ordained, not just any one marriage on its own. It's the institution as a whole. So that's not to say that, if you married the wrong person, just that marriage wasn't ordained by God and you need to go find another one. It's like, no, the institution as a whole is God-ordained, and there is no right or wrong person. It's just making the right person out of the person in front of you.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I can say I believe in soulmates because I found you, but I haven't had to contemplate too much how to make the right person out of the wrong person. But it can be done.
How to make the right person out of the wrong person.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there is we have to acknowledge that within marriage, there is an aspect of human decision making, and humans make the wrong decisions. And you might have picked a path in life that maybe is a little harder than it had to be, but it is still the path in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. So you would say, how do you what's the next question I'm thinking? How do you define this? So defining what is What do you mean by the wrong person? What do we mean by the wrong person? How would you define that?
I think the wrong person is literally anybody if you have the wrong mentality.
Yeah.
And if your mentality in your marriage is that this person's going to complete me, this is going to give me all the happiness I ever need.
Yeah.
This is going to be the most fulfilling.
Yeah.
Any person's the wrong person with that mentality because nobody can hold that amount of weight. Nobody can do it. You couldn't do it.
I know.
I know. So any person is the wrong person with the wrong mentality.
Yeah.
But you can make any person the right person with the right mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So I feel very fortunate that, I can't remember who it was or what I heard, but I came into marriage with the belief that you will not make me happy.
Right.
And I don't, up until this day, I am constantly reminded that my joy, my internal happiness meter, doesn't come from external circumstances, external people. And I'll tell you actually where this became very, very real for me in marriage. So I was a truck driver for a lot of years, right? I was barely making any money. Me and Hailey were pretty much dead broke. We had 2 kids living on the outskirts of LA. It was not a pretty sight, card getting declined, all that stuff. And then in 2017, I found sales, right? So I started working in sales. And what you quickly begin to realize in sales is that it's feast or famine, right? Some days you close, some days you don't. People hang up on you. They say, hey, call me back later. I'm not that interested. Hey, follow up with me in 2 weeks. And as a salesperson, you don't make money unless you close deals. And so in our marriage, I don't know if I ever told you this, but my days would ebb and flow according to sales. And I'd be like, dude, if my boss didn't recognize me, it would ruin my day. If I didn't get the sales I wanted, it would ruin my day. If I didn't, have the amount of people in the pipeline that I wanted, I was feeling like anxious throughout the day. And I remember there was a clear point in this where I said, dude, no more. Because I knew it was just affecting my day so much, my mental capacity so much. And I remember just giving that up to God. And I was just like, no more. It doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This is like, in the big scheme of things, I can put that aside. What's going to happen? The only thing I can control is my actions. I can't control what the prospects are going to do. I can't control if they're going to buy or not. I can only control my actions. And I remember making a distinct decision that day that I wasn't going to let the sales momentum swing my days. And then I think about that story because I correlate that to marriage, right? And a lot of marriage can turn into that. It's like, my husband's not really treating me the way that I think he should be treating. It's going to ruin your day. My husband didn't say good morning to me this morning. It ruins your day. We didn't have, the conversations that I wanted this last week. It ruins your week, right? And now all of a sudden you're playing this game of like, my spouse didn't do X, therefore I will respond with Y. And you run into this, I don't know, pity is me game. You start keeping score in marriage. You start where... The way I look at it is it's actually the opposite. And it's very hard to do the opposite. The opposite of this is that you run to God to fulfill all your needs, right? Your joy, your peace, all the fruits of the Spirit come from where? The Spirit, from God, from Jesus, right? And so now if you actually reverse the script and all of your cup gets filled by Christ, imagine a cup, right? You're just getting filled by Christ. So every day you're waking up, you're energetic. You're waking up, you feel great. You realize that you've been saved by grace. You realize that you're on the path to heaven. You realize that God is providing and giving you all your needs. And now you're just waking up every day in this great attitude because no longer are you relying on your spouse to bring that to you. It's Jesus that is bringing that to you. And what happens? Your cup gets so full, it's overflowing. What do you do with that cup? You overflow it to your partner, right? All that joy and peace and passion and purpose that you feel, you're able to now deliver that in your marriage, right? And when you can deliver that in your marriage, it's like, dude, it resets the score because no longer is it dependent on your spouse. Your spouse is going to disappoint you. They're going to freaking let you down. They're going to say stupid stuff. They're going to criticize you sometimes. And it's not because they're a bad person. It's because they're a fallen person. But yet you're over here just like steady as can be because you're getting filled every day by God. And you realize your source is over here. So I don't know. I made that correlation a long time, especially in that sales season. And I think it's served me well.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the reality and the day-to-day, like what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because I hear you and I don't disagree with what you're saying at all.
Yeah.
But there are the day-to-day things of like, okay, that's great, but God's not going to pick up my husband's clothes off the floor. God's not going to make sure the electric bill gets paid when my husband forgot.
Yeah.
God's not so how do you go about being satisfied in the day to day with these legitimate needs that you have as a human, right?
Yeah.
And not put so much expectation on your spouse or be joyful anyways. You know, because there are legitimate and there's reasonable expectations that you have of your spouse, right? Like I expect that my need for physical intimacy is going to be met by you, right?
Yeah.
Like, but what do you do if your spouse doesn't do that? What do you do?
If they don't meet your needs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all have needs, but I think the big point is this, that your ultimate needs are going to be filled by Christ. They're not going to be filled by your spouse. And so this is what I've noticed in my life is when my ultimate needs are fulfilled, the lower down needs are not as big. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like when my need for my happiness, which does not come from your spouse, right? We all want to be happy. Where does that come from? It comes from Christ, joy, right? You're happy no matter what. How do you have that type of happiness? You can only get it from Christ. So when that need's fulfilled, guess what? When my spouse leaves his jeans on the freaking counter, what am I still filled with? I'm still filled with joy. Mm-hmm. I still have that overflowing in my life. So I don't look at the jeans like, oh, this guy's, XYZ. Because look, if you have the opposite mentality of like, well, my spouse is, happiness meters goes down and up depending on my spouse, your need always feels unmet because you're relying on the wrong source. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So but this is all over the place in marriage. Like a practical example is, we're not paying the bills, right? My husband's not, whatever it might be. Well, I get it, right? So you guys are in a tight position. You guys are in a tight spot. But again, there's another verse that says like, who is your provider, right? Like your ultimate provider. Your ultimate provider is Christ, right? So when you come from that standpoint and you realize like that need is the ultimate need will be met by Christ, you have more grace in that circumstance for your spouse. And that more grace for your spouse allows them the freedom, right, to like now move forward to like, okay, how are we going to take care of this problem? Instead of blaming and saying, hey, you're not providing, you're not doing X. What does that do? It shuts your spouse down. It doesn't encourage your spouse to move forward. So a slight adjustment in perspectives allows like the marriage to move forward in a way that is only possible if your needs are firstly met by Christ. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Like the demeanor in which you come at the marriage changes. The energy of the marriage. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. If I'm going to be completely honest.
But you can disagree.
No, I don't disagree.
That's how I view it.
I don't disagree at all. But what I am feeling a little bit is that it's a little bit Christianese. You know what I'm saying? Like Christianese is that
it might feel like
is the language and the stuff that like, how do you explain Christianese? It's like the language that Christians use with each other.
Like, again, you hear it all the time, right? Like in God's timing.
Right.
Hey man, it's going to happen in God's timing. Hey man, just pray about it, right?
Right.
And sometimes those are true, but everything requires action.
So that's kind of my point is yes, it's true, but how do we communicate that? How to do that without using Christianese? Does that make sense? Like, what does it actually look like applicably in life without using Christianese?
I think the reason why you think it's Christianese is because I haven't talked about the action portion.
So let's get to the action portion.
I'm talking about the need portion.
Okay, so let's get to the action portion.
Because
I think that'll help.
But the need portion is actually the most fundamental. Because if you don't satisfy the need portion, your actions are going to be negative. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like if you feel like your need to be provided for is coming from your spouse, like ultimately, your actions towards your spouse are going to be much more harsh, right? Like you have a gift of, and I think this helps our marriage. You have a gift of faith. You just know God has it. In the back of your mind, you always know that God is faithful. And because you have that demeanor in our marriage, you're not coming at me from a circumstance that my husband is that guy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it changes your whole world because you're no longer attacking. You're like, no, God's got it. I know God has it.
Okay. And can I tell you the best way to do that?
Yeah.
If you're really wanting to like develop this muscle of faith in your life.
Yeah.
The best way to do that is to get into the Bible and read how God has done it before, how he has come through, and then look back on your own life. or the lives of your friends or your parents or whatever and see all the ways that God has come through, all the ways he's been faithful throughout your life. And you're like, man, he's done it every other time. He's going to do it this time too.
That's right.
And it can give you so much confidence.
Yes.
But you have to be willing to look back at what God's done to have faith in what he's going to do.
100%. And your source in our marriage comes from Jesus. It all does. And I know this because there was periods in our life where we were not doing well. We were not like financially not doing well. We were in a bad circumstances. But did you ever like come at me? Did you ever try to threaten me? Did you ever try to say like, you're not doing your part? Like, no, because your demeanor was God has it. Your faith kicked in and said, I know God will make it work.
Right.
It's just a matter of now, how do we keep going?
Right. And
You know
so
what I'm
that
saying?
was true for us, because we've had financial hardship in our life.
Yeah.
But I think that's also true in other hardships. Like if you are having this physical intimacy hardship or that's not being met, God can fulfill that. If you're having this, your husband's not responsible and you feel like you're carrying all the weight, God can fill that for you. Like
100%. He can.
He can and he does.
And he does. Yes.
You just have to allow it and be open
Yeah.
to it, I guess.
Yeah. But there is another part to it, right? It does require action. And so one of my favorite phrases by a guy named Mark Batterson, I've read 3 of his books. He's got Chasing the Lion, The Circle Maker, and another one. Winning the Day, How to Win the Day. And his name's Mark Batterson. He has a great line. He says, you got to pray like it depends on God, but you have to act like it depends on you. And you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Can I tell this? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard this story, but it's
Yeah.
such a great illustration of that, where you have a man on a stranded island, right? And he's praying. He's saying, God, please save me off of this island.
Yeah.
And so God sends a fisherman on a boat. And the fisherman says, hey, jump on the boat. I'll take you back. And he says, no, God's going to save me. And so the fisherman's like, okay. And he leaves. And then he's praying, God, save me off this island. And then he sends a plane. And the plane sees him and is like, hey, jump on the ladder. We'll drop down a ladder. He's like, no, God's going to save me. And then they're like, okay. And they fly away and he's praying, God save me. And he sends a submarine and the submarine's like, hey, jump in. We'll take you. And he's like, no, God's going to save me. And sure enough, he dies on the island and so he gets to heaven. He's like, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, dude, I sent you a submarine. I sent you an airplane. I sent you a fisherman. Like, what do you want me to do? You got to do something. I
It's
think
so
that's such
true.
a great illustration.
It's so true. And I think that's why, when you mention Christianese, that's what you think of. You're like, dude, God has been sending you the freaking submarines and the planes and the boats, but you got to move. You got to act.
And so, so a huge part of that, I think, is we have to stop filling ourselves with discontentment, right? Yeah. We have to stop comparing ourselves on social media. We have to stop reading the romance novels that are setting us up for unreasonable expectations. We have to stop, with the romance movies, if that's a snare for you. You have to fill your mind, listen to Lisa Bevere podcast, read good quality books.
Yeah.
You have to fill yourself with better things. You can't fill yourself with discontentment and expect anything but discontentment to come out.
Oh, it's dude. And that's why I think, now we've kind of turned into this whole culture versus Bible thing. Like that's kind of what our content has become because what you're talking about is culture. I mean, that is how culture shapes you. If you watch any romance novel, it's all dependent on the person.
Yes.
He doesn't meet my needs. He doesn't fulfill me. What's the climax? The climax is when, they're in this bad state and the girl's crying and the guy's walking away and everything is dependent on each other, right? There's no God. There's no I have another source that's sustaining me. That's out the window. Nobody, who's going to watch that, right? Everybody wants to know the guy's going to come back and he's going to sweep her off her feet and he's going to make this miracle comeback thing. It's not true. It's just not true. No. And I think that's what I appreciate about. I mean, I appreciate so many things about you, but I don't feel this pressure to be God.
That's good, because you couldn't.
I couldn't.
Yeah, you'd fail at that.
Yeah, I would fail so miserably, and I know all the time I say stuff that's stupid, and I might not do what you expect, and I leave stuff on the floor, and I'm not the perfect guy, but I don't need to be, because you have the perfect God. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think, and that's why I don't want to sound Christianese, but I do believe that everything starts with the foundation that you have to believe that God is your source and that he will ultimately provide everything that you need in life. When you come at it from that perspective, everything else in marriage is easier because grace is a whole lot easier to give. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, we should talk about action because I mean, look, you got to step up. You got to do.
Yeah. Well, the very, very first call to action I would give to people is like, you've got to get in the Bible. It is amazing if you have a daily Bible reading practice, how much that fills you, how much it literally changes your countenance. And I can't explain it other than telling you that it just does.
Yeah.
And it changes what you hunger for. It changes what your expectations are. It changes the entire countenance of your being if you just get in your Bible every day. And like our pastor, we went to Wednesday night service last night, and our pastor made such a good point about, so we were in 1 Corinthians, and it was the passage about, I was giving you milk and you weren't ready for the meat of the word yet. And how, he was saying, the milk is, Bible stories. Like Bible stories are great. We need those, but we need to get into the doctrine. Like we need to know what the Bible says and what it teaches.
The promises of God.
And you need to get into your word, and you need to know what your word says. And like, the Bible's not just another book. It's literally God's communication with us. It's God's talking to us. You have to get in your Bible, and you have to read it, and you have to know it, and you have to love it. You have to. As a Christian, you have to love your Bible.
Yeah. And in that post, Philippians 4:9, I know it gets quoted a lot, but it says, God will provide for all their needs through the boundless, glorious riches available in Christ Jesus. Mm-hmm. God will provide for all their needs.
And you don't need a Birkin bag.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need $1 million house.
Yeah,
like we need to get really clear on what our needs are.
Yes. But guess what? Joy does not come from your spouse.
Right.
Joy comes from God. Mm-hmm. Peace does not come from your spouse. It comes from God, right? Mm-hmm. You have to realize that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh, my peace is, my spouse is destroying my peace. No. You're destroying your peace. Mm-hmm. Your spouse is not doing that. Oh, my spouse is taking away my joy in life. No.
You're giving away your joy.
You're giving away your joy.
Yeah.
And it's backwards, right? Like people are like, well, how does that work? It's like, well, God has an upside down economy. Like nothing works the way you think it works. God has a backwards view of it. And so anyways, but to get a little fired up.
I just want to encourage people, like God's calling is so fruitful and it's so beautiful that you think like, oh my gosh, I'm going to give up my need for, or my pursuit of my quote unquote needs. And I'm not going to have anything. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like God's calling is so good and it is so fruitful. And you either will lose the desire for those things that you thought you needed, like the Birkin bag that you want your husband to buy you this $5,000 purse and you're so upset that he can't afford it. It's like, he'll remove your desire for these things when they're not necessary, or he'll fulfill them in a completely different way.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be left wanting. God doesn't leave you wanting.
That's right. He gives you a life more abundant. Come to give you a life more abundant.
He never leaves you wanting.
That's right. I heard a quote. This is kind of not off subject, but to your point, this is a cool quote. He says, not wanting is the same as having.
I love that. Yeah.
Think about that.
Not wanting is the same as having. It's even better.
That's crazy, huh?
It's even better.
I thought about that quote for like days.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, dude, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about materialism and how I feel like that's really kind of a thorn in our culture.
100%.
But man, that's a good one. Not wanting is the same as not having.
It's not better. Wanting is the same as having it.
Oh yes, not wanting is the same as having. Oh, that's so good.
Okay, so we talked about where it comes from. Okay, the problem with the lie, right, is no human can ever be what God can be. Mm-hmm. When your spouse becomes your source of joy, peace, and purpose and identity, they will always disappoint you. And it's not because they're bad, it's because they're human. Mm-hmm. And so the shift, here, let's see. Okay, I wanted to ask you a question. Okay, when do you feel like you stopped expecting me to be your everything in marriage? Was that just like, did you ever feel like that? Did you ever have that inclination in our marriage? Or from the get-go, was it just like, hey, you know what? How did you deal with that?
Well, okay, so to be honest, this gift of faith that you talk about is something I've always had. It's like literally my spiritual gift. And so I don't remember ever a time where I felt like you had to be everything and I had to like repent of that. I can't remember that time, to be honest.
Yeah. So how did you think about it? Did you ever think about it? Was it just like part of our marriage and you're like, well, hey, you know what? My husband is just my husband.
Yeah. I mean, you're my partner and I love doing life with you, but I've never looked to you to
fulfill
me or meet all my needs. And like at the same time, I do believe that like the two shall become one, right? Like I believe we are one. So in a lot of ways you do fulfill me, or you are me. And I, but it's not, I've just never looked to you to meet all my needs. I've never had that expectation. And there's one thing. So the very first mission trip I ever went on, I was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And I went to Slovenia and the Czech Republic. And I remember very, very clearly, so I've always been a person, like I don't thrive on little sleep. Like some people can do the whole 4 or 5 hours a night and they're okay. I've never been that person. And when you're on a missions trip, like you don't get much sleep, right? Like you're working the whole time. Yeah. And I remember like really praying like, God, please give me the energy to do this, like sustain me to do this because I'm exhausted. And he did. And I remember that was the first time I felt like, man, like this is not coming from my own strength because I can't do this. But I'm really able to like do this job and fulfill this purpose here because God is sustaining me. And I was, I was a young girl. So that was the first experience I had where I felt like, man, God really does meet our needs and he does meet us where we're at. And that was kind of a life-changing experience for me. And another example I have is, this is such a silly one. I've never talked to you about this.
Never?
Never.
Oh my gosh, this is getting intense.
But when our third child was born, we had a home birth with her.
Yeah.
And I went back and I was watching the birth video. And when she was born, like when she actually was coming out into the world, I had worship music playing, and the song that started playing as she was born was the elevation worship. Like the atmosphere is changing now because the spirit of the Lord is here.
I love that song.
And that just was like the most perfect timing with the most perfect song at the most perfect opportunity. And I remember really feeling like, man, God is in the details. Like God cared enough about this birth of this baby that he ordained this perfect song to come out. Like it just was it spoke to me that like, man, God is in the details and God sees what's happening and God cares. And like, that was not you feeling anything. That was just a gift of God, like, yeah, I've just had these little experiences in my life where I felt God meet me where I was, that I don't need you to do that.
Yes. And I think you have to know where to run to. Mm-hmm. And so the time that I think about that was similar in terms of where do I run right now is when I had the panic attacks. Mm-hmm. And you even said to this day, you never told me about that. You never really said anything. But I think it's because I knew who to run to. Like
that would have been too much weight for me.
You can't save me. You know what I mean? Like you would have tried and you would have tried to consult me and say, babes, you know what? Everything's going to be fine. But the only source that was going to really do it was God. Mm-hmm. And so I think sometimes in marriage, you just run to the wrong source. You're running to your spouse when you have to run to God, Mm-hmm. So that's what I just thought of that right now as you were describing this.
Well, that's a beautiful picture. Like what you just said was like quotable. It's like you have to know when you have to run to God. Like you don't run to your spouse for some things. You run to God.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is this, and I heard, now this is controversial, but hey, guess what?
I love controversial. Bring it on.
Well, T.D. Jakes, right? I used to listen to T.D. Jakes a lot. Now, he's kind of honestly a little funky.
Yeah.
But he helped me get closer to God. Yeah. I mean, he did.
Truth only has one source. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
It can come from whoever God chooses to use to get that truth out, and it's never going to be a perfect person, right? Every person's going to be flawed, but truth only has one source.
Yes.
So regardless of who it came from, if it was true, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say, where T.D. Jakes actually woke me up a little bit, he said there are spiritual laws and there are physical laws. And you don't confuse the two. Like in life, you still live on earth. So there are physical laws that you have to obey. Like, for example, if you don't go to the gym and work out, you're not going to build muscles. You could pray all day long and run to God and be like, I want these, great body. You ain't going to get it.
Yeah.
And so you have to realize when you're dealing with a physical law or a spiritual law.
Right.
And sometimes you confuse the two.
Right.
It's like.
But God is the creator of the physical laws,
if God is the creator of it,
so if you're saying, God, please give me a great body, he's saying, look, I've created these physical laws that will give that to you. Go and do it.
100%. Yes. And in the sense, like God created communication. But communication in its essence is a physical, like I communicate with you right now. Mm-hmm. So that is a physical law that, hey, you can run to God and ask them to button up your communication and all this stuff. But at the end of the day,
You got to communicate.
you have to communicate better. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that
and
was
you have to hold your temper.
you have to hold your
tongue. And you
There's
have
things
to.
there's physical laws of nature that you have to learn on top of the spiritual.
Yeah, that's a great distinction.
And I remember when he said this, I thought about this for like literally weeks. I was like, dude, okay, where am I confusing spiritual and physical laws?
That's a great distinction.
You know, and in marriage, you also have to make those distinctions because sometimes you might be praying, you're trying to pray away a physical law that you can't pray that away. Like you have to do that away,
Right.
you know?
Like financial responsibility, right?
Yes.
Like God can and does provide, but at the same time, you have to go and do the job, or you have to go and make the money, and you have to go and actually pay the bill, right?
That's
The
right.
bill's not magically going to get paid.
That's
That's
right.
not.
That's right.
There are physical
That's
laws. I like that
But the
distinction.
great part about it is that God intervenes and helps with that, right? Like he can sustain you through the physicalness because obviously the spiritual is much higher.
Yeah. Well, I have a cool story.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just popped into my head, so I'm going to share it. But when I was, I don't know, maybe, I don't remember how old I was. I was maybe senior year of high school, maybe fresh out of high school. I joined a Bible study with my middle school cheer coach. She started this Bible study.
Do I know her?
Mrs. Stoll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah.
know her.
Okay. Yeah.
And the way this whole Bible study came to be was she was a teacher at this middle school, and the principal gave every teacher an envelope with an undisclosed amount of money. He didn't know how much each person was getting. And their call or their challenge was to do something for the kingdom with this money. And it was like, it ranged from $5 to whatever. And so Shelly got her envelope and she felt like, okay, I'm going to start this Bible study. So she called like 5 girls that she had mentored throughout the years and was like, hey, come join this Bible study. I'm going to buy the books and I want you to come to my house on Tuesday nights. And we're going to do this Bible study on Tuesdays. And she went and she ordered all the books for everybody. It ended up being the exact dollar amount that was in her envelope was the amount of amount of money it took to buy. And like I was in that Bible study for years, and it was really, really formative for me. But like that's a way that God like provides in just the the smallest
crazy
ways.
Yeah, crazy
and
ways.
like there's oh my gosh, so many
you
stories
have so
like
many
that.
instances of that.
So many, but that was one just like personally where it was like. And like their thing was like, hey, you need to go do something for the kingdom and don't open your envelope until you know what it is. And so then it was like, hey, she ordered these books, opened the envelope, and it was the exact dollar amount. It was crazy.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I remember that happening when we were early in marriage, where we get these random checks. I don't know if you remember this.
Or you get this reimbursement from the
reimbursement. I'm like, dude, we needed this.
We needed that, yeah.
I mean, that happened
It happened
multiple
a lot of times. Or you get
like
this
wild
recall check from the car dealer and you didn't even know it was coming.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? This is crazy. So God does do a beautiful work.
And as we've, gotten more fortunate in our life, we've been able to like, God has used us like, hey, I want you to go drop off a check for this amount and put it in this person's mailbox. Yeah. And we don't know why.
Yeah.
We don't, but later, come to find later, like, hey, we were like praying we needed a couple $1,000s and it just showed up.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how God uses that.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. So I think you got to let your spouse be human.
Yeah.
A human is going to be stupid a lot of the times.
And when you expect them to be human, you're not disappointed when they are.
So true.
Yeah.
Now, I know the questions that are people thinking, but you don't understand my situation. My spouse is just, they're just, we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
In the comments, in our DMs. And I'm not saying situations are not bad. I mean, there's things that are bad.
Yes.
And, however, with that being said, you can only control you, and you can only control what you think about. You can only control who you run to. You can only control what you choose to be your source, and you can only control your perspectives and your thoughts, And so that's always our advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Start with what is going on internally with you.
Yes. And the only caveat we ever have is safety, right? If you are, and I don't mean unhappy. I don't mean like emotionally safe. I mean, like if you are legitimately unsafe, that's a different situation. We're not talking to that, but otherwise.
Yeah. So let's just answer that quick. Or how would you phrase it? How would you answer that? So it's like, hey, well, look, my marriage is not doing well. My spouse is X. Okay. That's what they say. My spouse is X, right? They're always just angry all the time, or they're always just not happy all the time, or they're always not doing what they need to do. So what would be your advice?
There 100% are those situations.
Yeah.
And there are situations 100% that are harder to endure than others.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that's never been my experience. But that doesn't mean God is using that to teach you something.
Yeah.
He is using that to show you something.
Yeah.
But God's law doesn't ever change.
Yeah.
And I know it would be so much more convenient if it did. And if God said, hey, if you're not happy, you can leave this marriage and go find something else. But he doesn't say that.
Yeah.
And God has never once called anybody to divorce because they were unhappy, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you feel like God's calling you to that, that is a lie from hell. And no, he's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, obvious caveats are infidelity, and there's arguments to be made for abusive or negligent behavior. You got to deal with God on those things. That's whatever. But as a whole, God is not calling you to leave your marriage.
Yeah.
Point blank. So
Yeah.
you've got to be willing to sit and say, okay, God, what are you trying to show me? How can I endure? How can I improve? How can I turn to you and not to my spouse? How can I get fulfilled from you and let this go?
Yeah. What are the things that he wants me to learn in this season? And I think it's a radical perspective change.
And we've talked about this before. Like we have people that like refer to their spouse as their cross to bear, and I think that that's so sad. I don't think marriage has to be that way. But if your marriage is that way, but if you haven't gotten married yet and you're just preparing for marriage, or you're engaged, or you're dating and you're trying to figure out how do I pick the right spouse, who you pick is so important.
Yeah.
And so make a really, really good choice, because if you do make a difficult choice, it'll be hard. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. And, but again, I know it's going to say, oh, well, it's easy for you to say. However,
and I get that.
There is some beauty in the fact, because we said it multiple times in Reels. Marriage is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you holy. And so if you look at the benefits of that type of cross to bear, and oh my gosh, my spouse, like who are you constantly running to? You're constantly going to Christ. And in that, the beauty of that is that you're getting closer with the Creator. And the closer you get, the more connected you feel, and the more you become to know God and be like God. I mean, that's our ultimate thing, right? To be more like Christ. There's a beauty in that.
Yeah.
And there's a beauty in that only somebody in that circumstance can feel.
Right.
Because who do you run to when times are bad? You run, well, hopefully
all the time.
You run to Christ, right? And if times are continually bad, that means you're continually running back to Christ, which means you're becoming more like him in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And you're able to look back time and time again and see, man, God stepped in here. God met me here. God did this here.
And by the way, those people tend to have the best testimonies of all people, right? Because what is a testimony? In it has test. You can't have a testimony if you haven't been tested. And some of those people that have been tested so much in life, they turn that pain and they turn those circumstances and they turn that stuff. And all of a sudden, they are able to turn life around, and they have the best testimonies in the entire world. You can use that to shape a generation. Yeah. People have done it.
Yeah, nobody has a great story without a hardship. And the hardship's never the fun part to walk through.
It's not the fun part. But it's the beautiful part in the whole story.
Yeah, it makes the story.
It makes the story good. So I think there's, like, if you can look at it from that perspective of like God's teaching me and showing me and refining me and making me more like him. And even though this is hard, like someday, some way, you might realize, wow, this is a powerful test that God gave me. But now I have this crazy testimony that I can share with others.
Yeah. And I get that the ideal is like you have a partner that you're walking through life and doing ministry together. And like, I get that that's the ideal, but
both
that's
have
not.
Beauty.
Yes,
both
they both do 100%, but that's not going to be, depending on your choices, because there's a human aspect to marriage.
Yeah. And the reality is life's not fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
that's what makes it fair.
But that's what makes it fair. Yeah, that's what makes it fair. 100%.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah.
Just looking through my notes, seeing if I have.
You can do the notes.
So here's something. It says, what about husbands? What would you say to a man whose wife is constantly disappointed in him?
That's a good one.
In the notes. Well, it's in the notes.
No, I want to know what you would say.
So, okay, what would you say to a man whose wife is constantly disappointed in her, in him?
Okay, that's a great question, because we talked about the wife who is constantly disappointed. But what if you're the one who has this huge expectation on you that you can't meet? How do you redirect your wife to, hey, I can't fulfill this for you. Like, you need to go to God. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, right here in the notes, it does say point her to God through your prayers, your leadership. Yeah. I think, it's a good question. I think the only way is to model it. I think she will do more off of your actions than your words. And if your actions are showing her like, hey, look, I'm in the word. I'm directing our marriage to God, right? Let's go to church. And then also, because in the notes, it does have her disappointment might be revealing your passivity.
Yes.
That's and
a good
so
point.
You have to reflect. Again, it goes back to you.
You have
as
to
the
use
guy.
some discernment. Of like, okay, is there truth here or is this unreasonable?
Yeah, exactly. And you can always get better. There's always room for improvement. And you never want to be the guy. And Pastor John, our pastor, yesterday was talking about this. You never want to be the person that says, I have it all figured out. I have all the answers. Because what did he say? He said, the guy that knows nothing, or he said that the guy that acts like he knows nothing is infinitely wise because he will learn from everybody. And it's the guy that thinks he has it all figured out that is usually the biggest idiot.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to be that guy. And sometimes as men, you can start thinking like that because you're like, wow, you puff up your chest.
Leadership.
I'm the leader. I'm the man. She's wrong. But if you take a step back and realize, you know what? There's some areas in my life I can improve. And I think any wife will respect that because even though you might be 99% buttoned up, there's still 1%.
Yeah. And nobody's 99% buttoned up.
Yeah, nobody is. But again, if you always operate with, dude, what's the 1% that I can improve right now? So I think it's a twofold thing. It's like you model it through your actions as a man and you point your wife back to Christ and you point back to Christ. And then you also reflect on your life of where can you get better?
Yeah. But I also think a conversation can be valuable if it's done like in a low volatility time, kind of like our kids, right? We have to have like raising kids is constant conversation. It's not one conversation that there's like, I'm a grown up now and I get it and I'm going to go on. Yeah. But I think you can have this constant conversation of like, hey, I can't meet all your needs. Like,
it's too much.
It's too much for me to carry.
Yeah.
And I need you to like look to God to fulfill you on some of these things, or like I'm trying, but like you're looking to the wrong source. Yeah, I think that could be a constant conversation with your wife too, and I think it'd be beneficial.
I think that's a great idea, and I also think you should follow it up with what are your action steps? Like, hey, I think it might, to your point, yes. This is too much to carry, XYZ. And then you can say, but hey, here's what I'm doing personally to make myself better for you. And I think ending with that, she knows it's like, oh, well, you're not just pushing it all off to it's like you are taking responsibility, but then ultimately knowing that the source needs to be correct too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good response.
Yeah. And then the last thing. Okay, so now if you're listening, and say, I want that. I want God to be my source. I want my marriage to feel lighter, not heavier. Where do you start?
Well, we talked earlier. I think you start with your Bible and get into scripture, get a daily practice going. And also just like.
There's a great quote in that reel. It says, when God gets bigger, marriage gets lighter.
Yeah.
And I truly believe in that.
And I think like look to your marriage for fun, for lightness, for support, for, like make your marriage fun again. Don't be so serious.
Make your marriage fun again. What's that?
No. Make marriage fun again. Mfa.
We got to come up with some shirts, huh?
Like, that'd be cool. Let your marriage be fun.
Yeah.
Don't be so serious. Lighten it up.
Yeah.
Lighten it up.
Lighten it up. Yeah.
I think we could all benefit from
100%.
just lightening up a little.
Yeah. Armor keeps us light.
Oh my God.
Without him, could get a little heavier.
Oh, Armor's our second born, and man, he's got the gift of humor.
Oh man, he's such a character.
He's funny.
We could take some things out of his playbook. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, where do you start? You got to start in the Word. You got to start with prayer. That's where you start. Doesn't mean that's where you finish, but that's where you start. And I noticed this year you've actually been diving into the Bible more so. And I mean, you've always done it, but it seems like this year you're really kind of on the path. And
well, I've really like this year. Our boys, our oldest, are 11 and 9. And so I'm really trying to get them in the discipline of a daily Bible reading time, which is just like.
And they are. I mean,
and they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Which has been really encouraging. But I'm like, okay, if I'm expecting this of them, I've got to model it and like,
Yeah, 100%.
It's been fun.
So anyways, I think it's a good episode. I think that hopefully this is, helpful. Me and Hailey were talking about it and we're like, hey, this might be a good episode because the carousel
obviously
really did
resonated.
It resonated a lot. And there was a lot of questions off it. And it's hard to answer all the questions. So hopefully some of them got answered in this podcast.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And as always, if you guys don't know, we record our podcast live every Thursday afternoon, sometime between 11 and 1. Keep your notifications open. And you can hang out with us live. If you don't catch it live, we do not post the live recording. So you don't get to...
Nope. No going back and seeing it.
No going back until it's released as a podcast a couple weeks later.
That's right.
But you can hang out with us live on Thursdays and...
Join the prayer challenge.
See it that way. Join the 7-day prayer challenge.
Link down below. We'll have Ishmael upload it for us.
Yes. And as always, you guys can DM us on Instagram and have some conversations over there. And
let us know about future episodes. That helps because we've
that does
taken
help
some.
a lot.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Gives us good ideas. What should we be thinking about? What are you guys thinking about? Yeah, let us know in the DMs. That's the best place. The DMs.
And review, share, comment, all of those fun podcasty things.
Yes.
And thank you. I'm proud of you. Love you.
All right, love you.
Bye.
Bye.